Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
Never stare into a mirror. Creepy facts. Sleep paralysis can cause hallucinations, making you feel like there's someone or something in the room with you while you are paralyzed, unable to move. You may even feel something pressing down on you. If you comment "scream," you will unlock a new TikTok emoji. The Mothman is a mysterious humanoid winged creature reportedly seen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, often associated with disasters and tragic events. You can see who has you blocked on TikTok by clicking share, slide to the very end and click more, then click blocked. If nothing pops up, that means nobody has blocked you yet. Deja vu. The feeling that you have already experienced something that is happening for the first time. Deja vu is a very common experience, but the exact cause of it is not fully understood. Now, before this last creepy fact, leave a like and follow for more interesting facts every day. Staring into a mirror can cause hallucinations and feelings of unease. You might even see your own face distorting and objects changing in the background, so you should. Do you know the truth behind Teletubbies? The real story of Teletubbies is taken from a mental hospital in Bulgaria for a group of children. Lala has a distorted face that makes her smile all the time. She always sat in her room alone in the hospital, so her skin turned yellow because she wasn't exposed to the sun. Tinky Winky was 7 years old, and he hit himself on the wall until his head cracked, so they tied him up with a rope so he wouldn't move. Because of the rope and restrictions on his limbs turned blue. Boo was with them in the hospital, and when the fire happened, they forgot all about her. I think you know why she is red. And for Tinky, he was always hungry and sad because he was depressed. When they gave him food, he would just throw it away. Nipsey represented a deaf child who was allegedly tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. The characters of the Teletubbies are based off of real children who endured horrific experiences. Why would they base a children's show off of real-world horrific stories from a mental hospital?
Never go outside when you hear dogs barking in front of your house. When I lived with my grandmother, she would tell me, "Don't go out at night if you hear the dogs barking." She never told me why, but I never did, because every time I tried, she would stop me. I eventually moved to the city and honestly forgot about that warning. My grandmother grew old and stayed alone in her house, until one day, my uncles asked me to take care of her because they were remodeling their home. I bought popcorn and stayed up late watching movies while she slept. Just when I was about to go to bed, I heard a dog barking. Immediately, a chill ran through my body because I remembered my grandmother's warning. I started hearing several dogs barking and howling desperately, so I quickly ran to barricade the door with some furniture, but that was my biggest mistake. The house still didn't have a door, only a metal gate through which I saw a terrifying creature standing on two legs. It was like a horse with goat legs, but with a human face. It panted while whispering, "Come closer." I was in shock. Then I saw my grandmother appear out of nowhere behind me and throw water at it. Instantly, that thing screamed uncontrollably as it retreated, and my grandmother, as she returned to her room, just said, "Always listen to the dogs. They can save your life. Remember, heed the warnings of the past. They hold wisdom." If you found this story captivating, share this video with your friends and follow me.
This lady was pure evil. During the early 1970s in Blackwater, Louisiana, there was a lady named Barbara Q who owned a bed and breakfast 15 miles off the nearest highway exit. She would keep fairly busy, typically having a few guests over every night, and was loved by everyone. She was also known for her famous beef stew that she would serve every morning. In September of 1972, a man named Ray Zenz was traveling for work and ended up stopping at Barbara's bed and breakfast for the night. When he checked in, Barbara asked him, "Does anybody know that you are here?" And Ray would reply saying no. That night while he was sleeping, he randomly awoke and saw the silhouette of Barbara at the end of his bed, and she was softly singing an old lullaby. But as soon as he turned on the lamp next to him, she lunged at him, but he escaped her grasp and ran out the room. He yelled and woke up everybody else, and then called the police. When they arrived, they questioned Barbara, and she strangely said, "Normally they don't fight back." Concerned about this, they fully investigated the property and found something horrific. Her so-called famous beef stew was in fact not beef.
This American woman killed 300 people in one day. In the quiet town of Goobersville, Indiana, in 1949, a woman named Aileen G. Anus was the beloved lunch lady at Sunnydale High. For 20 years, Aileen served meals with a smile. But one morning, she had other plans. She laced the school's water supply with a colorless, odorless poison. By noon, students and staff began collapsing. Chaos erupted. The hospital was overwhelmed. Parents rushed to the school in panic. As sirens wailed, Aileen calmly walked home, humming a cheerful tune. The death toll rose to 352 lives lost. An entire generation of Sunnydale gone. Aileen was found in her kitchen, baking cookies and listening to the radio. Her only words upon arrest, "I was saving them from the pain of living." Investigators later discovered 20 years' worth of journals detailing her plans. The Sunnydale Massacre remains one of the deadliest single-day killings. In 1954, police decided to investigate her home more. They decided to break the walls, and what they found there was truly horrifying.
In 1979, a teenage girl accepts a babysitting job at an isolated home in the Minnesota woods. After putting the children to bed, she settles on the couch to watch TV, only to be startled by a phone call. She picks it up and hears heavy breathing, when suddenly a man's unsettling voice asks, "Have you checked on the children?" Nervous, she dismisses it as a prank and hangs up. 15 minutes later, the phone rings again. This time the voice asks, "Why haven't you checked on the children?" Panic sets in and she calls 911. The operator advises her to keep the caller on the line if they call back, allowing the call to be traced. Moments later, the phone rings again, and the voice snarls, "Check on the children now." Trembling, she keeps the call connected as instructed. Once more the phone rings. The operator's voice crackles through, urgent and frantic. "Get out of the house. The calls are coming from upstairs." Terrified but worried about the children, she hesitates before fleeing outside. She bolted out of the house, her heart pounding in her chest. There, a tall man stepped out of the shadows, his presence looming as he stared her down with a chilling intensity, and he asked in a cold, menacing voice, "Why didn't you check on the children?"
If you see her walking alone at night, don't stop, don't speak, just run. She is Rokurokubi. The story starts in a small village in South Korea. Among the villagers lived a woman named Mayumi. She was polite, kind, and lived alone in a small wooden house on the edge of the village. No one suspected her secret, but Mayumi was no ordinary woman. She was a Rokurokubi, cursed to have her neck stretch impossibly long at night. Every night, while the village slept, her neck would grow and her head would roam freely. She wandered through the dark streets. One night, a traveler named Haruto passed through the village and stayed in an inn near Mayumi's house. Haruto couldn't sleep and decided to take a walk under the moonlight. As he walked, he saw Mayumi. Her head floated in the air, her long neck writhing and curling like a serpent. Haruto didn't scream. He ran back to the inn and bolted the door, shaking as he waited for the sun to rise. The next morning, Haruto told the villagers what he saw. The villagers confronted Mayumi, demanding to know the truth. She tried to deny it, but the fear in their eyes told her they already knew. "Leave," one elder said firmly. "We won't harm you, but you cannot stay here." Mayumi packed her belongings and left the village that day, disappearing into the woods. This story is from South Korea. Comment your country, and I will make a scary story from your country.
Creepy facts that will shake your understanding of the world. The last one is unbelievable. In 1943, the U.S. Navy undertook a ship camouflage experiment, enveloping the USS Eldridge in electromagnetic wire. Upon activating the power, the vessel became shrouded in a green fog and vanished from a Philadelphia shipyard. Astonishingly, it reappeared hundreds of miles away in Virginia before mysteriously returning to its original location in the same green mist. The U.S. Navy officially discredits the incident as a hoax. What do you think? Did you know you can check if your phone is infected with spyware? Simply click the bottom right arrow and then more. If you see any unfamiliar apps before your contacts, they should be removed immediately. Before the last fact, please support us by liking and following us to enjoy new videos daily. In order to make their spaceship lighter, the Apollo astronauts left anything not important on the surface of the moon. This included hammers, cameras, seat armrests, and even bags of poop.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. Cats do not sleep in the way we think they do. The truth is, cats are interdimensional beings and regularly visit places we cannot. Their eyes are also capable of detecting wavelengths of light that we can't pick up, enabling them to see energies, spirits, elementals, and more. The same way dogs are our guardians in the physical world, cats are our protectors in the energy world. This is why cats were regarded as sacred in ancient Egypt.